For more on the housing numbers, we're joined by someone who should know this index well, Robert Shiller, professor of economics at Yale University, co-developer of the S&P Case-Shiller Home Price Index. Thanks very much for the time, and walk us through these numbers here. Is there any good news whatsoever within this report?
I suppose it's good news for people who want to buy a home, but it's not good news overall. It's not good news for the economy. We're seeing, and I don't mean to over-exaggerate this, it could just be a temporary blip, but if it does continue down, it means a lot of trouble for institutions and people.
Does it mean we're seeing the double dip that has been feared out there for some time? It's
not clear yet. The downtrend, if you look at a plot of it, it looks significant, but it could still reverse. You know, home prices tend to have a lot of momentum and they go in the same direction for years, typically. But I don't think we've had enough yet to really call this as a major change. And it's starting to look like it, but it's too soon to call.
Is it one of these situations where, as Hugh Johnson sort of mentioned it, where we see the very worst right before the turnaround?
What do you mean the very? No, it tends to accelerate. I'm not following when you say the very worst.
Well, to some extent, do things really need to bottom out even more before we see things rebound, I guess is more of my question.
Well, we have seen a nice recovery of the economy. I think that we have to be thankful that both the Bush and the Obama administrations have pursued stimulus. And we gave the Keynesian policies a trial, and it seemed to work. But then the question is, what next? And now there's so much concern about the national debt. It's not clear that we're going to continue the stimulus, and now we're seeing new bad signs. So the question, to my mind, is whether this is like 37, 38 in the Great Depression, when the economy started turning down again and the public was in no mood for more stimulus packages.
Specifically on the housing front, do you see any policy actions here in Washington that could make a difference at this point?
Well, obviously they could do what they did again. It did seem to make a difference. You know, the timing of the turnaround, the home prices fell from 2006 to 2009, and they turned up right at the time when the home buyer tax credit came in. So that timing is very significant to me, and it suggests that they could do something like that again, and maybe they will.
There's been some talk, of course, as well about what to do with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The Treasury Department's supposed to release a report in January about the future of Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. What's your own sense about that issue going forward? Is this the wrong time to be talking about major overhaul of Fannie and Freddie?
It's probably the wrong time, but then the problem is that the only time we make major changes is at times of crisis. The problem is that we have been subsidizing housing in this country ever since 1938, or even before that, since 1934, when FHA was created. So we have a long history of subsidizing home prices, and people are starting to question that. That's another reason for a sense of anxiety and worry that might not help support public expectations for the housing market.
As you look at this index as it comes out each month, what is it that is surprising you the most at this point?
The thing that surprised me the most was the rapid turnaround in the spring of 2009. I don't know what, I've never seen anything like that before. It shows to me how suddenly confidence can change. The downturn now, it looks like sagging. It doesn't look that significant yet. So I'm not, but it is worsening, and it's been worsening for some time. You know, my company, Macro Markets, does a survey of professional forecasters, and we have seen their forecast for the long run. We go out to 2014. That has declined continually for the last 5 months. 5 months ago, they were predicting a 12% increase by 2014, and now it's down to 7%. So just optimism is fading from the housing market, and that's a concern right now.
All right. We're ringing in the new year on the housing market, much like we have seen over the past few years. Robert Shiller, thank you very, very much for joining us. Appreciate it very much.